Hail to the king, baby.
Hey guys, it's me. It's Michael B, and thank you so much for joining me on this special Tuesday stream. Now, I know a lot of people are probably expecting by the thumbnail and kind of the feeling in the community that this is going to be a big hate stream on the new Arcade1Up cab that was released or announced or leaked today, and it's not going to be that. It's at the point right now where I'm no longer mad. I'm just disappointed. That would be the best way to put it. And we'll talk about some realities about Arcade1Up and what Arcade1Up are today compared to what they were a couple of years ago. The state that they're obviously in, and why concessions and changes like these are probably necessary for the company. But it means to me and many other people in the community, well, essentially, the Arcade1Up we knew and loved is dead. A lot of people will put that date right on the day that, they let Scott Bacharach go, the day they let John D go, the day they let, David McIntosh go. But, and maybe this is a long time coming, and a lot of us have just been too blind and too hopeful to admit it. But this company is going in a direction that's, probably in their mind, the best business choice, but it shows nothing but an absolute path to failure in my mind. And it's really friggin' sad, man. So I know this is the bummer, not really the stream I wanted to do. Like, we did a stream last night, me and P-Dubs, where we had the people on from Wonderland Amusements and Jerry from Think Up. And it was great talking to him, his passion for the project he's doing. And you could tell that his absence from Arcade1Up, as much as, we probably critiqued Jerry about some of the stupid things Think Up have said and done over the years, it's that passion, that creativity that's probably missing from this company now, and why we see things like that. And I will focus on creativity because a lot of the things they're doing that I'm sure they feel are innovative are just ripping off things from other companies in the first place and seeing if it will stick. Glenn, the time of death, you can mark it. For a lot of people in the community, this is where we're at right now. I don't know exactly how to put it, and like I feel really bad for the company, but it's their own mistakes and their own decisions that are causing this reaction. And, this may all be overblown. So where this comes from is earlier today, I got a email or message from Keith Wayne Myers, who, obviously is a big fan of Arcade1Up, like all of us are. And I'm going to be very clear here. If anybody from Arcade1Up is watching, I'm not saying this as somebody who's trying to monetize off your decisions. I'm not someone who's besmirching or trying to put down your product for some kind of financial gain or any of that stuff. I'm not doing this for views. I'm doing this because I've been a longtime fan of your product. I have basically grown up the last couple of years embracing your product, championing your product, being excited for your product. And to see the change in direction is extremely disappointing. So if you're listening and you want to shake this, feedback off as this guy's just a hater, or this guy's just trying to, trying to get, I don't know, views off our back. This isn't that. I don't give a shit about that. I'm telling you honestly, I think there's some big problems at your company. And if this is real, what I'm about to show, and as you can see from the community sentiments that are coming out there now, I think you should pay heed to what people are saying, because people aren't shitting on you for the fun of it. People aren't shitting on you because it's the in thing to do. Most of the people who are watching this still really want you guys to be successful, still really want you guys to do cool stuff. It's just, I mean, I can't with the decisions. In some ways, I can understand where you're going and what you're thinking, but like, you've completely lost it when it comes to what your brand is. Your brand identity is lost. So, all right. Anyways, let's get started. So, first thing, I want to show you this image that was sent my way today. And where this comes from is apparently this was put up on Arcade1Up's Instagram page earlier today, showing off accidentally a new cab, and it quickly got taken down. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. Instagram stories, I don't know if they stay up all the time or what it is, but anyways, let me just get this picture up for you guys to take a look at. I saved it earlier, so let me see. I just got to go into my files here. I should have had it done earlier. I'm not going to bring it up from Facebook because messages and crap will come up and we can't do as much with it. So let me just bring this up on screen, and we'll start talking about it from there. And I apologize, guys. I much would have rather done this in a produced video, had assets ready, other videos to explain some of these things. It wasn't possible today. My daughter had reconciliation. She's on her way to communion at the church, so I had to go out to that. And I said, I'll deal with this when I get home. And that's what we're doing right now live. And thankfully, my buddies on that gaming show, Shotgun Sean and Rascal, they're not going live tonight because I would have hated, trying to run over them. And I like trying to get there to check out their show too. So sorry, guys. Also, I'm still not feeling well. I'm trying my best here. So I'm going to share a screen. And I'm sure, oh, man, damn it. Hold on. So let me just bring this up to you guys. And this is basically the new Arcade1Up cab that was leaked today. Now, there's a lot of problems with this. None of us know this is real, and nothing's official until it's official. But let's start to dissect this thing. So first up is the price point, $449, which leads me to believe this is, in fact, a deluxe cabinet. Now, the shaping on this is really weird because it looks like a classic cab. We know the classic cabs are coming in. So maybe it's a classic cab, but maybe this is the deluxe cabinet as well. So I'm going to start with the positives. One, if this is a deluxe cabinet, it looks like we're getting a $50 break in price because the deluxe cabinets previously sold for $499. So you can save $50. And that is all the positives. That is it. That is the only potential positive that could come out of this. Now, me personally, I can't really see it. I can't see a divide there. So I think that this is, in fact, a classic cab from Wally World. So, yeah, hopefully. I don't see any thing on the side here. I don't see an in piece to show this is a deluxe cab. So to me, this looks like the classic cabs. We know there's Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man coming, but yeah. So anyways, the only potential positive from this is if this is a deluxe cab, which it doesn't look to be, their price point they've got listed there, $449, is $50 off. So at least with all the cost-cutting measures they made on this cab, at least there's some kind of benefit for us. And there's some realities there. We know Arcade1Up is obviously in financial trouble. I did a video where I discussed it earlier this week, and I talked about the fact that Arcade1Up put out their own post celebrating the fact that they had borrowed $20 million in funding against their accounts receivable to help with cash flow. They basically publicly announced they're having cash flow issues. So it already seemed like it was going to be a lean year. But then it looks like the way they're going to move the company forward isn't by investing that money into making new products to get, their core fan base excited. They're just trying to figure out ways how to make their products cheaper. So we go back to this cab here, and one of the positives about the Arcade1Ups the last couple of years, especially Mortal Kombat, is they had ditched the old light bar marquee and they went with a much better looking actual box. So you had a plexiglass plate here with what could be considered to be a double printed marquee across it, like a real arcade, and then your light source was in the background. As you can clearly see here, I don't know if this is a lit marquee or if this is just a piece of wood, but they have gone back to the old marquee style either way, and they've brought back the very popular wings. They're not as prominent as they were with the legacy cabs a couple of years ago, or even like the last set of cabs we had, like X-Men and Simpsons. But the wings are back, which is obviously a turn to the negative right off the bat. We're going to move down to one of the worst ones here in a minute, but you'll also notice it has a very distinct new slim side shape, reminiscent of the slim NBA Jam Deluxe. Although the NBA Jam Deluxe still had the light box there, this still has that slim upper portion form factor, which is no bueno. Now we're going to get to probably my biggest cost-cutting measure, concern, problem with this cabinet is, in fact, if you take a look at the screen, it's pretty clear to see here that they've moved away from using the correct aspect ratio monitors. Arcade1Up have historically used either 5x4 or 5x4 TN or 4x3 BOE monitors at 17 inches in their cabinets. What they have done here is they have opted not to go with the square rectangle shaped 4x3 monitor or 5x4 monitor, and they've just gone with the very readily produced, very cheap for them to acquire 16x9. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen the 16x9 on one of these cabinets. Let me blow this up for you guys here now so you can see clearly. There's a look at the 16x9 monitor. As you can notice, right here on the side, the bezel is cut out completely for that. And then there are now sidebars on the actual picture in the screen. Now, this is not the first time that we've actually seen this from Arcade1Up. This is the second time they've changed the screens in their cabinets to a 16x9 for cost-cutting measures. The first time was with the last set of countercades they came out with. I'm sure you all remember the Pac-Man and then the Class of 81 countercades, or it might have been Miss Pac-Man. They had the 16x9 screens in them, and then they had a little extra section down below. Now, what they've decided to do here is also go with a 16x9 monitor, if this is real, and hopefully this is only for the classic cabs they're going to be selling at Walmart. It looks like they've gone 16x9 with the bezels on the side. Now, 16x9 monitor, not the worst thing in the world. Actually, other home arcade companies already use these. One example would be Quarter Arcades. Quarter Arcades, even though they have these amazing replications, I don't want to call them replicates, that's a new way of toys, but even though you've seen these amazing replications in the past, one of the ways they cut corners is they actually use a 16x9 monitor, but they cut it off with the bezel so you can never tell. So it looks like an actual 4x3 screen. For some reason, Arcade1Up doesn't have the cognitive abilities to replicate that idea of just covering up the part of the screen that is not in use from the game with their plexiglass bezel. No, instead of that, they're going to showcase that they now have 16x9 monitors. Inexplicably so. This is probably one of the biggest problems I have with this cabinet and with this concept. With the countercades, I said it was shit. I said it was a shit cost-cutting measure. I said it was really disappointing. But, you can kind of let it slide. I don't really give a shit about their countercades. I've only ever bought one. I'm never going to buy another countercade from them. I didn't really care, so it's not that big of a deal. But obviously, this is a 3/4 scale cab. This is near and dear to my heart. This is what I've been collecting for 5-6 years. So they've got a 16x9 monitor in it now. And this is where it gets hard because I think the company doesn't really understand what they are. I know they have to cut costs, they have to get cheaper. But like I said, there's ways to get cheaper and do it intelligently, which is what they've chosen not to do here. So I understand that, obviously the 4x3 BOE monitors are somewhat expensive. And to cut costs, either get your prices down to attract new customers or just improve your profit margins. You're probably not going to want to continue sourcing those. So you're going to source a different monitor, which is a 16:9. But you cover that up with a bezel. You don't showcase it like this. I mean, we buy your product specifically because of nostalgia. Now, not everybody's in agreement with me thinking that Arcade1Up should be arcade recreations, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But when you're taking the nostalgia away and you see those side panels with, the correct art for the side of the cabinet, which you haven't done in many, many years now, like you'll notice there's no extra blue added in those side panels. It's just the original cabinet art. So what happens then is what you have put there, you have this beautiful package with all the original art, the control panel, the marquee, the shape, and then you put a dead center, the thing most people are going to look at, and you remind them this is a multicade. You take all the nostalgia out of it. This is the way multicades look. This is what you see if you play on an Net Games Legends Ultimate, a Rec Room Masters, several home builds. If you're not going to try to hide the fact that this isn't some kind of recreation or in the correct aspect ratio, and you show this, why is anybody buying your product? Why am I going to spend $500 to play Mortal Kombat when I can already play it on a widescreen monitor with bezels on my Legends Ultimate? I'm sure what you're trying to do is still trying to attract new fans and feel that maybe price was the issue. So you wanted to get the price down. And if that's a new cost of the deluxe at $449, mission accomplished. But at the same time, again, like I said, you've completely alienated your original fan base. None of the original fans are going to buy this cabinet. And it might not matter anyways, because you might know you've burned up all your goodwill with the original fans because you don't have any new titles to put out. You've got nothing left in the tank. It's just Mortal Kombat. It's just Pac-Man. It's just Miss Pac-Man. And it's just Golden Tee. That's all you got left. I don't know. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe that's the play here. I don't know. So that's the 16:9 screen to me, which is the most egregious of the changes on this cabinet. You go down, we no longer have a different color trim. It's a black trim. I don't really have a problem with that. So then we get to the side art. And yeah, what the fuck? So what you've done with the side is you've decided, well, we're not an arcade recreation company. Might as well go full bore and just make it look as stupid as possible. So what you've done here is you've added this pixelation at the bottom to give it that cool video game look. And you know what? Whoever came up with that at the team meeting at Arcade1Up's Miami headquarters, which if you can get out of the fucking lease to that, get out of the lease to that. That would do major good for you to not be paying whatever you're paying for that, as opposed to making these absolutely inane changes to your products. So whoever came up with this pixelation idea, I hope you gave them all kinds of credit. It looks terrible, but you were going for something funky and rad. But the thing about this is not new. This is done. This was done on the Pac-Man Pixel Bash. Basically, someone took a look at the side of the Pac-Man Pixel Bash and said, that slaps. That's a good idea for Arcade1Up. So they ripped that idea off. And it's terrible. I don't know who wants this. Maybe I'm in a minority. Maybe the chat can tell me different. But, I mean, Jesus Christ. Yes, Goofyfoot, exactly. Some 20-something who probably has no business being in these design meetings because they don't understand what your company is, came up with this concept. So then we move over and let's talk about this. Now, the only saving grace is here, we don't know if this is a picture of the classic cab, or if this is the deluxe, or if this is even real and will ever come to fruition, right? Remember the days we would run to the store asking the employees to check him back from excitement? Has anyone felt that way anymore? Those were good times, man. Yes, Shotgun Sean. Unfortunately, that's what we're talking about here tonight. The good times are gone. The good times are gone. Like, so the front of the cab has a list of games. Now, one of the things that eagle-eyed people picked out is it looks like we lost a game on this. So these titles previously in the past couple of years came with 14 games. It looks like we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it looks like of the games on this cabinet, the one that we lost is actually one of the funner ones in Tubin. You take Tubin off the cabinet, which actually worked incredibly well. And I got a feeling I know why they took Tubin off the cabinet, which we'll get to in just a minute. They took Tubin off the cabinet, but they kept Paperboy, which has no fucking business being on here. Why? Why in God's name would you remove Tubin from this cabinet and not take Paperboy off? Again, that doesn't have the proper controls and should not be on the cabinet. Well, the culprit, my friends, again, is the new screen, the 16:9 screen, because you have to remember that Tubin is, in fact, a vertical game. So what's already going to look a little bit weird with your side panels on the 16:9 screen for a 4:3 aspect ratio game, you have to consider what a vertical game will look like on that. That is going to take up apparently here, with more than 50% of the screen being bezels. So they said, yeah, we can't put a vertical game on this 21-inch probably for a 16:9 monitor. So if you're asking why Tubin is gone, I would bet the firm that's why Tubin is gone. Now, if you're asking about Gorf and Sinister, they were never on this cabinet in the first place. And there's the $1 million question. If you're going to take something off, why not add something back on? You obviously can. I mean, you did it on the XL Golden Tee Midway monstrosity that you put out at Costco. So why not put it on this cab? I don't have an answer for you. So again, I mean, that's all we can tell right now. There's a lot to say about it. And I have a lot to say, and I have a lot to say about the company that I kind of want to get into here. I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to say the new cab design obviously is really frustrating. Really quickly, thank you so much for the super chat. Writes Retrocade, 279 Canadian. How the mighty have fallen. WTF. I don't disagree with you. Another super chat from Bushin Ryu Cat. Thank you very much. $5. Would you consider reaching out by email, social media to the public relations person for Arcade1Up, do an hour live stream, and invite chat to offer ideas? I would 100% do that, but I can openly tell you Arcade1Up doesn't respond to my messages anymore. They don't talk to me. Here's the thing. Like, I'm not saying this because it's fun to say. It's not fun to tear a company you once really, really liked apart. It's not fun to kick a company while they're down. Obviously, they're struggling right now. None of this is fun for me. Like, I don't want to be doing this. Avowed just came out on Xbox. Like, friggin', I've got an X arcade that I'm trying to put together downstairs and do a review of. I got better stuff to do, but it seems like it's so infuriating. I had already, pretty much given up hope that Arcade1Up was going to do anything new this year. I assumed they would just, plod along. They would put out the games like I did a video Saturday about it. They were going to put out the games that are already in their library and just sell to new customers. And, that could be fine. Carl said it on Super Game Room Dudes this past weekend. He's like, what might not work for us might work for the company. Maybe this is the most viable option. And maybe it is, but I mean, how long can you do this? Like, I will tell you, when you reach the stage of your business when all you're doing is making concessions to your staff, concessions to your product. You're hiring people to do jobs at a much lower rate because you can't get qualified people to actually do the jobs. You're going out and getting substandard parts to make your cabinets. You're basically extending the period until your company dies. Like, that's it. And in my mind, I mean, I can't see any of these changes being positive. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe this is the magic mix that'll help this company, make millions of dollars and stay successful. But I don't think so. I think there's no way forward for this at this point. Like, they have basically got to the point where they're making these as cheaply as humanly possible. When you're not even going to go and put a 4x3 screen in your premier product, which is the 4x3 line, not 4x3 line, the 3/4 scale cabinet line, when you're not going to do the appropriate screen size, you really got to be asking yourself questions. What are we even doing here? I'm not saying throwing with Media One Up. I'm not saying throwing with anybody else. I'm not. This is not a conversation to push you in other directions. This is just a conversation about this company and how frustrating, backwards that this company is. I think the best way to put it would be, you always hope they're going to do better. I'm obviously a huge fan. I still have 9 of their cabinets in a much smaller space. That's all I got left. But I'm still a really big fan. I love what they did with XL. I love what they did with the deluxe cabs. It seemed like the company was growing. I've been buying these since the very first wave. I bought the first Street Fighter, and then I got hooked as they released more and more. We watched this company grow. And the thing about it was, the company was always evolving, doing something new, changing. And the company changed so much. We went from shark fin designs that didn't have light up marquees, didn't have risers, to branded risers with light up marquees. Then all of a sudden they released the Street Fighter cab. And then not only did we get a branded riser, a light up marquee, but now you're also getting an arcade cabinet that actually has the correct form factor. And we watched this company grow, and their products always got better and better. But you take a look at this cabinet and you think about how far we came with the XLs, with the crazy cabs like Dragon's Lair, Tron, Star Wars, really, really well-designed cabs. And then you look at this, and they have 100% regressed backwards. Everything you can think of that they could do in a negative way, they have done here, even so far as regressing past the fact that these cabs originally had the appropriate screen in them. Like, it is mind-blowing. And I don't know why this is happening. Really quickly again, Rights Retrocade, thank you so very much. This design seems to validate they lost access to the other cab design via that suit. That's very possible. We talked about that. We talked about them potentially not being able to use ThinkUp's designs going forward. So it's very possible. I think Jason's right, and that's where I wanted to kind of transition at this point. I think company culture is the number one cause of their failure. So, former Arcade1Up employees over the years, and thanks again, Rights Retrocade. I really appreciate it. I've heard from a lot of former Arcade1Up employees over the years, and I don't think they want to say this personally, but they 100% blame all the problems in the company on bad hiring decisions at the management level and just mistakes. And I don't know if that's 100% true. Obviously, there were other mistakes along the way. Blitz was a complete clusterfuck. Blitz is probably the reason we're all in this situation now. Blitz is probably 100% why they don't have any money anymore, because they went all in on Blitz, and then did everything they possibly could do wrong with the product. And what's even more frustrating about it is, it was still fun. Like, even though it didn't have late hits, even though the cabinet looked like shit because they didn't put the original artwork on there, Blitz still ended up being really fun. And when it came out at a really cheap price point, I remember I got mine for $3.99 Canadian, brand new. It had just come to Canada, which is not a good sign, but I got it for $3.99. I had fun with it. And then the community went and modded it and added the late hits pack. Blitz is a, you know, absolute winner for people now, but it sunk the company. I saw, man. I saw. Everything's terrible. Everything's shit. Anyways, getting back on track with this. So we watched a company that was led by passionate, dedicated professionals or people. Not everybody was professional, who had a vision of what these products should be. And for a long time, we saw the fruits of that. We went through some really good times where we saw some amazing products come out. Not everybody liked them. Some people were never going to like them. And, they weren't perfect. Even the best ones aren't perfect. But like we got some really cool shit, some shit we could be excited about. And there was always something to feel good about, something to top something else. But like the last couple of years, it felt stagnant because there were no new games. And that's okay. We still had hope. All it takes is one game and stuff like that. And then they released the Slim Katie. And you really had to question, who's coming up with these ideas? What is going on here? And then for the last little while, we've watched the Instagram ads, we've seen it, and we're like, who the fuck is this company marketing to? Who do they think are buying these products? Now, in their defense, I have seen on Instagram, like I follow a lot of models and stuff on Instagram because I'm a guy and I like looking at good looking girls. And some of these streamer girls actually do buy these cabs. I see them present in a lot of people's homes. So I'm not saying there's not a younger market for them. Obviously, there is. But you have to understand the bulk of the people buying your cabinets isn't because it's a novel idea or a niche retro idea. It's because of nostalgia. You guys are a company that built your entire base off nostalgia, and you were headed in a direction that would have put you in a good place, except for a couple mistakes like Blitz, where you forgot that. And we called you on it. We were like, we're not going to buy this because you forgot everything that makes this good. You forgot the nostalgia. You didn't have the live ready. We called you on it and we talked with our wallets. And unfortunately, you've never been able to recover from that. Now, we can make a lot of assumptions. There's stupid people there, don't know what they're doing. I don't think that's really the case. I think, again, what Jason said, it's the corporate culture. And I think it's their brand identity. I don't think they know who they are. I think that there's a lot of people sitting around that table that have probably amazing business acumen. But if you don't understand the product you're working on or who your target demographic are, you're never going to be able to build a good product. Even this, with all the goddamn concessions you made, could have been easily avoided just by doing some simple market research. But for some reason, you refuse to do that. You just push head forward into making terrible decisions, making your products look like shit, and completely alienating every person that ever wanted to support you. I'll talk about me personally for a second here now. So you look back to that Blitz situation. There was a time where it just wasn't fun to be an Arcade1Up fan for a little while. We weren't really in like the dark days and the no products like we were the last little while, but we went through that whole regime where we had all that like ugliness, like where Weekly Retro Party was representing the company. And then unfortunately, all that shit happened with UAG. The product like was coming out with no online support and all that stuff. And it just sucked. Arcade1Up was a negative thing there for a while. And then me, I already get a lot of shit already. People call me a shill and all that stuff. You reached out to me. You said, you know what? We've got a new management here. We want to do things right. We want to turn things over. We want to do positive things. And I believed. I was stupid enough. I believed. I thought, yeah, this is genuine. Like, this is going to happen. This is a company that's going to make good decisions and get back on track. So even I supported you. I put what's left of my sullied reputation out there on the line. And I was like, all right, guys, it's Arcade1Up. Let's do this. Let's bring it back from the dead. Let's fix all these problems and let's get people what they want. And very quickly, I found out that that wasn't exactly true. You were coming out with products and then you wouldn't take feedback. I would tell you stuff like, no one's going to like that Atari 50th cab. People like the arcade recreations. That has nothing to do with arcade. That's not going to be successful. And then I get fired back at me. Well, did you tell them that's what Atari wants? No, I didn't tell people that. I don't have to tell people that. That's your job. It's not my job. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm fucking helping you on my own free will. And you guys, I don't know what to say. Like, it's just, it's sad. It's really sad that we're even having this conversation tonight. Like, and I hope to God this is all pointless. I hope it is. I hope this is a fake. I hope it's not real. And like, I again, I understand you guys are not good financially. You need to find ways to make your products cheaper. You need to find new audiences. You don't have the money to do a lot of the things us in the community want, and that's fine. But I mean, you still can't forget why your product was successful in the first place. And it seems like you did. I mean, the only thing that isn't a regression, I'll bring the cabinet back up. Realistically, the only thing that isn't a regression on this cabinet, well, you know, the control panel's not bad, but the only other thing that isn't a regression on this cabinet is the buttons. And that's because the buttons always sucked. You guys never fix the buttons. You've been told since day one, your buttons are bad. And for some reason, even with the talented people that were there in the beginning, they couldn't understand the message from the community. They kept hearing, oh, these guys want arcade accurate, competition style buttons, you know, commercial grade buttons. No, we just didn't want shitty clones. Get better quality clones. If you at least had the quality of the AtGames Legends Ultimate buttons, or maybe the iArcade buttons, maybe people wouldn't have shit as much. And there's no way it would have cost you that much more to slightly upgrade the level of clone buttons you had. Yeah. They thought they were smarter than the people that made the company. That is a really good statement, Paul. And unfortunately, yeah, that 100% rings true. Nooner, I'm hoping so. I got a fake AtGames email today saying it's warning me to be cautious. I saw that as well, the imposter AtGames site. Yeah, Kong was there. Kong can back me up on this. Like, I straight out told him to their face, because I will tell you one thing. As much as people shit on me about how I'm this corporate sellout, shill, and all that stuff, I'm sorry. I will tell your company to their face if I don't like something. No matter how good a friend I am with someone making a product, if I don't like something, I'm sorry. I'm a passionate person. I'm going to say it. Now, I'm not going to do a massive hate stream, but I will always tell you I don't like something if I don't like it. And I could see that Atari 50th design right from the start. Keep doing the wrong one there. I'm a little addled if you can't tell. So, Charlie Chuck, and Charlie Chuck knows. Again, the other thing too is, Charlie's going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this. At the end of the day, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And at the end of the day, this doesn't really matter. Like, it sucks to see this company that at one point was such a big thing in my life, something I was so excited of, something I was so, you know, happy to talk about with you guys online, happy to talk about with friends, excited to, you know, possibly add to my arcade, do stuff with my arcade. As much as it is, at the end of the day, it's just a company. And if they're not making things I want or I'm excited about, like, it sucks and I'm disappointed, but I just won't buy them. Like, it's not that big a deal. It's not life or death, but people are just going to lose interest. And I mean, everybody, you know, this concept of, well, they need content and all this stuff. No, we don't fucking need content. We can make videos about anything. Like, when I started making videos on Arcade1Up because I liked it. I already took a hit. I was making NES videos that a lot of my fans from back then fucking hate me for because I don't make those videos anymore. But I was so excited about these. This is all I wanted to talk about was home arcade. So I already completely alienated an entire, community, which I could have banked off, built on. And I had a brand, I had an identity. So these people that are like, oh, they jump on things. No, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. I'm not on YouTube because of arcades. I'm on YouTube because I enjoy doing this stuff. Anyways, going back to the B meeting, I got a little distracted there. Going back to the B meeting. So yeah, I openly told them, I said, this is not a good idea. This is a terrible idea. The community's going to hate it. And they got mad at me for it. And I took that on the shoulders and I said, you guys 100% should consider doing this as an asteroids cab. And they said, well, if the Atari 50th sells well enough, we might. So promote it. And I said, no, because I hated it. I hated it. I hated the idea. And I hate that this company refuses to listen to feedback. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity out there around the product and stuff like that. So it's really hard to suss out what's constructive criticism and what's hate for the sake of hate. But I mean, that's your job. That's what you as a company should do. You want to know what the community likes? Don't just ask one asshole like me, but really pay attention and listen. And you guys have done a horrible job at that. Always, but it's even getting worse now. I mean, maybe I'll tell you one thing about that. I'll never see it because I don't give a shit. No, not sad. Disappointed. That's the word, MG. Disappointed. So that's where we are now. Like, if you want to look at the current state of Arcade1Up, there's no money to do R&D, to build new cabinets, new cabinet form factors, to do any of the cool stuff that we used to love from Arcade1Up. For people holding out hope that this company might surprise us with a new title, something really exciting, I'll tell you to be very, very cautious about that optimism, because, I mean, it doesn't look like that's happening. When it comes to the people that still want to collect these and maybe missed out on some of these products, even though these are the exact same products that have been in store shelves for the last 2 years, I don't recommend you buying these. I mean, I bring this up again. If it has a 16:9 screen, what nostalgic value does that bring to you? Looking at that, seeing the bezels on the side will immediately take you out of that nostalgia while you're playing. You can get the exact same feeling from playing on literally any multicade that has a 16:9 screen. And that's what Arcade1Up has always failed to realize. They're like, we're giving you a way to play these games. No, we already have a million ways to play these games, either illicit from stealing or, from getting them online from like reliable retailers. So there's bunches of ways we can play them, but we choose you because you go the extra mile to give us all that nostalgia goodness, but you're not doing it here. Yeah. 1 second, guys. I'm trying to catch up here. Oh, I'm always going to be a hugger, but I mean, it's just so disappointing to see this. Like, I knew this was a possibility when I saw the countercades with the 16:9 screens, but I was like, it's a countercade. Can't be that bad. It is. It is. So, I don't know how they fix this, because at the core, there's big problems here. I don't know what their competency levels there are, or their staff, but they need to take a complete look at that company and figure out what's wrong, because it's not just cash flow. Your cash flow and your problems in-house are a direct result of the output you're putting out. If you were making good products people wanted, products people could sell, you would not be having cash flow issues. You're having cash flow issues because the people internally, and maybe even your management, is telling you, we're on the right course, keep doing what we're doing, when you're headed down a path that's going to lead to failure. Like, I mean, when's the last time you saw a company completely throw their brand identity in the garbage, make it as cheap as possible, and then come out the other end smelling like roses? Never. When a company hits this point, when they're making cost cutting measures like this, sacrificing the whole reason that their product was interesting in the first place, I don't know. Oh, did my internet shit out, MG? Sorry about that. Anyways, guys, I don't even know if it's Gen Z. I think that like you could write a dissertation on the rise and fall of Arcade1Up, and I think it starts like this. They hit a level of success that they didn't know how to deal with. They were a small group, and they hit a level of success that they weren't ready for, weren't prepared for. So they did a bunch of stuff, and happenstance happened. We were in the middle of a pandemic. People were stuck at their homes. People had excess cash because the government was giving them cash because they weren't spending money on their outside activities they normally do. So they were doing stupid stuff. Like a lot of people bought pinball machines. Other people were buying Arcade1Up cabs, filling up their homes with these cabs. So pretty much anything they did was successful. But then reality hit. A pandemic ended, people went outside, and then inflation started to go up. So their costs were higher, people had less money, and people were spending money in other places. And then all of a sudden, Arcade1Up wasn't cool anymore. We asked the question many times on this channel, is this a trend or a fad? A trend is something that has longevity. A fad is something that has a 3 to 5 year life cycle. And I always hoped it was a trend. I hope there was always going to be a market there for nostalgia. And I don't know if this was just a fad and interest for the product completely died out, or it's a direct result of the business decisions they have made. So it's really hard to tell. Everybody can say that. Anybody who wants to say this company was built on strategic business development is full of shit. It's happenstance. This happened because there was a global event that forced people to be stuck in their homes. And they said, how can I make my home more fun? Yes, it did. The first arcade came out several years before that. But if you go back and look through Arcade1Up sales, when they had their major spike in sales, pandemic, bang. That was the year they hit 1 million cabs sold. That was the year. Then the next year they hit 4 million cabs sold. That's when they had the huge spike. It's not a fad, not when people have been buying home arcade products for 3 decades at 3 times the cost. We've been waiting. Paul, you might be right there. I don't really have an answer to that. Maybe there always has been a desire for a product like this. So, Paul, in your mind, you think, because I don't think it was a fad so much as the fact that it was a trend and it was a really good business idea that one, they didn't fully understand how to capitalize on when the business grew like it did, and two, they made a bunch of mistakes like hiring the wrong people, and then having somebody maybe take over that just didn't understand, like having people there that don't understand what they're doing, like they don't understand what their product is. This is like, can you imagine having the same staff at fucking Nintendo? So Nintendo say, we're going to introduce the NES Classic, and we're going to follow it up the next year with the NES Classic that's shittier, multiple colors, and doesn't have any nostalgia. That's basically what. Do you think anybody ever would have bought a SNES Classic? Do you think there would have been any growth in that market? Do you think Sega would have brought out, like, how many mini consoles? Remember mini consoles blew up? It was because Nintendo did such a good job with them. Like, there was obviously an interest in mini consoles. I mean, At Games have been making them for years, but it was the fact Nintendo did it so friggin' well. So true to the original. And there were all kinds of other options out there. The Raspberry Pi existed. You could buy flash carts. You could just emulate on your PC. There was a million ways to emulate. But the NES Classic was a smash success because people understood and had respect for the product they were putting out there on the shelves. And at one point, Arcade1Up had that. But at some point, they seem to have lost that respect for the product, the understanding of the product, and the brand identity. And that's why we're in the situation we're in today, where no one wants this. Like, there is not a single person. I can't foresee, honestly, I will say this, a single person in this community that will buy this product at regular retail. If this is blown out at Walmart, if this is a classic cab and blown out at Walmart for $200, yeah, sure, you might get a couple people be like, fuck it, it's $200. I don't care. But nobody from your existing customer base is going to buy this. And even the younger people that were buying your product, like the streamers, the younger girls, the people that want that, we see it all the time. Like, we go on trips and we go to arcade bars. And no matter where we're to, we go to these arcade bars and we expect to see a bunch of old men like us at these arcade bars. And there's fucking kids there. The kids aren't there because they got modern shit. The kids are there playing the retro games. So if you're not offering something that is styled as a retro game that has that nostalgia, you're going to miss that market that you think is your growth market as well. I think you mean he got somebody else to order it for him, MG. I think so. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these streamers, there's one beautiful girl, Kristen Lene. She has a Miss Pac-Man in the back of her streaming setup. I see it there all the time. It's 100% there for that reason. JJ, no. This went up on the site, and this is like all the information we have at this point. So this supposedly was on the Arcade1Up official Instagram. It looks like they put up what it looks like right now is the new MK Classic cab, and they had a price there $449. I think that was the mistake. I think maybe this should say $249. So if this comes out at $249 as opposed to the original $299, I don't know. Maybe it's something people would be interested in. This is not for those who saw the cabinet for the last 6 years. This is for someone seeing it for the very first time for sure, but they certainly didn't make any effort to make it good. No, it's completely regressed. They were getting there. They had got past the shark fin. They had an understanding for what people wanted, coming out with the faux coin door, all the extra touches. Some of the stuff was bullshit. The underlighting, light up decks, all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's okay. Light up buttons, but no one really cared if it was there. It was a waste of money. But like recreating the actual arcade cabinet, having a really good screen, having a really good looking marquee, having the right side art, that was the stuff that made this really special. And no. If it was a mini arcade, you wouldn't see the buttons like that. This would not. I don't know what the future looks like. I mean, it's easy to say, well, we don't need Arcade1Up anymore. We got Iconic Arcade. But I mean, that's a company in its infancy. I mean, we all wanted XL arcades. Looks like we're getting it. But there's only one product announced right now. It's Street Fighter. It's a Street Fighter cab with 2 skin variants, basically. So that's it. Outside of Arcade1Up, there is no other large scale arcade recreation company in the market. So, you know, we hope Iconic Arcade does well. We hope other companies jump in. But right now, I mean, I don't know if this is real. And they have put 16:9 screens in this. They've cut this thing down cost wise as much as humanly possible. I don't know. I did have some interest in the Nova Blaster initially, but I'm not a big Candy Cab guy. I really only wanted it for the 26-inch screen. So when Glenn announced he was going to put the 26-inch screen in the Build-A-Cade FU, yeah. Well, P Dubs, at the end of the day, like that's the point we're at now. I mean, who gives a shit about this company? Who cares? Like, I mean, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We've got to have this conversation. They have more than 6 years of fan feedback from Reddit pages. They have more than 6 years of fan feedback from Facebook groups. They have all the marketing data they could ever want to decipher for to find out how to make a good product. And they refuse to use it. I mean, geez. Well, P Dubs, well, Pitbull, I mean, there's some people that don't give a shit if it's real wood, if it's particle board. Like you're coming from an arcade perspective. Anything that, doesn't have that good wood is going to be shit. Like you don't know for sure, right? Seven S7 Air Guitar 13.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Content creators in this community, the ones keeping the companies alive. Michael B, Kong, Fox, P Dubs, Console Kids, James Hate, Glenn. Thank you all. One love. I appreciate that, man. I mean, it means a lot, and a lot of us have been hoping, not because we want stuff to talk about. There's a million things to talk about. I mean, and like we talked about earlier, it's probably more beneficial when the companies are doing bad because people love negativity for some reason. But at the core, we all started talking about this stuff because we enjoyed it. We liked it. We wanted to have fun things to talk about. And this shit isn't fun, man. Oh shit. I don't know. Like basically that bottom side art they've got there with those pixels is completely ripped off the Pixelcade. We're trying, man. I don't know. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep you excited about Arcade1Up. Like, um, I mean, I can't. I'm not excited. I'm not interested in this anymore. And I don't want to talk about it. Like, I feel bad because obviously the company's struggling. Obviously, the company doesn't know what to do. Obviously, the company has lost all idea of what made them successful in the first place and what people would want. I mean, seeing this it's unreal. It's unreal. The cost cutting measures they will go to what, stay alive for 6 more months, for a year. I mean, if this is your strategy for how to get out of your mess, I mean, it's not a strategy for success. No business in the entire world have dug themselves out of a hole by making their product crappier. So I don't know. I just don't. I think we'll wait and we'll see if this is real. I hope it's not. Maybe it's just the classic cab. Best case scenario, this is not real. Realistically, that the company's not this bad off. That we're getting reruns that are even shittier than the previous year's cabs. Second one is this is just the classic cab. The deluxe cabs and the other cabs they have that are going to be replacing the ones that are currently on store shelves won't have a 16:9 screen and won't have a lot of the concessions they made here. And then, the worst case scenario is this is their plan. Yeah. Absolutely, man. I don't know if Jason Little Alien's still here. He might have one, but yeah. I do want to say though, as much as this is really, disappointing and frustrating that this could possibly be the direction is well, I don't know about that. Like at the same time, I know people will try to twist and turn this like, oh, I never liked them in the first place. That's bullshit, man. I love my Arcade1Ups. I love building my arcade. Some of the funnest years I had was not just like putting in new arcades, but like actually decorating the space. Pulling out my old movie posters, getting frames for them, getting lighting, finding like different lights and other shit like that. Like, I love that. I love the fact I have a space in my home where I can go down to, turn on the machines I have, which I really like, and just experience that arcade ambience, like be able to play a couple games, hear that noise, all that fun stuff. But maybe this is it. Like I've got a really good lineup right now. I'm really happy with what I have. There's only like one or two cabs that I would ever consider even getting rid of. So yeah, maybe it's just run its course, and maybe Arcade1Up is right to move in this direction. Maybe you know, take your shitty cabs, sell them to people that don't know any better, and yeah, good luck with your future endeavors. Well, most of us are going to be doing other fun stuff. Don't worry. There's all kinds of fun stuff for us out there to do. I mean, if we're not buying your products, and like in the last year, we've been buying other stuff. People shit on us and was like, how come all these guys are getting into pinball? Because pinball was fun. Pinball was new. Pinball was exciting. Arcade1Up wasn't doing anything fun and exciting. So a lot of us started finding other things we were interested in. Right now, a lot of us are playing VR like crazy. Like I've played more VR golf than anything else in the last 3 weeks. I can't believe it. I've been pretty much playing every night. There's other things people are going to drop your brand for and your product for and go find if you don't want to make products for them. So keep doing what you're doing, stay alive as long as you can, and we'll find other things to be excited about. And home arcade's not dead. Much as many people will try to say that, still all kinds of cool shit happening. I mean, we got a GRS Build-A-Cade FU coming out, which is going to be one of the most incredible multicades from how it sounds. I mean, you could get it in shit. I doubt it, but the fact that you're going to have a 19-inch manually no electronically rotating screen, you're going to have a 26-inch that you manually rotate so you can go vertical to horizontal games. The fact that you're going to be able to swap out the desks, like multicade fans, you're going to be able to do some cool shit with that. And for people that don't mind the modding aspect of things, you're also going to be able to turn your GRS Build-A-Cade into a Nintendo cabinet, which is something no other company was ever going to bring out to us because Nintendo was never going to sign off on it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, throw it in there. Tell me what Arcade1Ups you guys have. But then on top of that, there's still some hope, but it's only one product and we don't know the future of it. But Iconic Arcade's coming out. And even if it is only one product, it's an XL Street Fighter, which we wanted Arcade1Up to give us. They didn't give us, so we get that now. Then you also have the possibility of that becoming a pretty badass multicade in itself, where it has a Pi 5 in it, so you can put a load of shit in it. There's other products we talked about earlier that you've seen people jump to and been having fun with. There's stuff like the Polycade, like P-Dubs has a Polycade. It's not for me personally, but a lot of people have jumped in on that community, been playing that. They love that. It's basically like a very different version, but almost a second coming in the iArcade. People have been enjoying that. Still in the iArcade, people are buying Glenn's products and modding that. There's all kinds of stuff in arcade to be excited about. Home arcade. It just looks like, unfortunately, Arcade1Up is not going to be one of them. Yeah, Charlie Chuck, that's probably the best way to end this. I'm sorry, Arcade1Up. It's not me. It's you. You fucked this up. Not your community. None of that stuff. I don't know what to say. Anyways, guys, I've kept you here way too long about this. And again, this it's not meant to be a hate stream. It's not meant to be an anger stream. Like, again, I don't want to keep talking about this. Obviously, Arcade1Up is in a very bad position right now where they're trying to figure out how to dig themselves out and how to survive as a company, how to keep people employed, and how to keep the brand going. And if this is real, again, they've obviously had to make some severe concessions to their cabs because they think the problem is the price point mainly, and they want to get cabs out cheaper and they want to improve their profit margin. But what it's going to do is what I feel like it's done to me. I mean, if this is real and this is the future of this company, I don't have any interest. I don't have any interest in buying their products. I don't have any interest in covering their products. I don't have any interest in doing anything with them. I mean, this is not the company that I'm interested in, not the company I fell in love with, not the company I bought 38 cabs from. So, yeah, Goofy Foot with the comment of the night. It was never coming to Canada anyways. He's not fucking wrong. 100% not wrong.
I'm going to Canada now.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I will finish this by saying, not anymore, Decadent Dave. Not anymore. I will say this. I don't think Arcade1Up is done. Like I said, they might be around for another 5-6 years. Keep releasing these same products over and over again. Keep making concessions to make their profit margins better, or to lower the price to find a new audience. But I think a lot of other people in the community, in the home arcade space, people that have been super fans, are just, you're not done like everybody says, but you're probably going to be done to us if something doesn't change. I will again throw out the one thing. There is one nugget of hope from all of this that you got to remember. All it takes is one product. So as much as this is frustrating, disappointing, again, don't keep a lot of hope, but all it takes is one product. If there's an MKXL down the line without these concessions, that's good. Hey, we'll be right back there. But until then, I don't think you'll see a lot of me covering Arcade1Up in the near future. uh, I love all these comments here. Love them. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. I hope this is all for nothing. I hope this is a scam and we were all fooled, but I don't think so. Anyways, we'll have to wait and see for an official announcement from Arcade1Up. I don't know if I'll cover it. Like, I think if this is real, this might be it for me for a while until they do something cool. If you want people to cover your product, you want free press for what you're doing, do something fucking good. I'll end it on that. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful night. I wish this was much more positive. Next week, we'll be back talking about Arcade1Up again. No, just joking, P-Dubs. I caught you there. Anyways, guys, have a great night. At the end of the day, this is all video games. It doesn't really matter. All kinds of other stuff for us to do. One company falls. Hopefully another one rises. Everybody, have a great night. We'll see you later on this week. Be good to each other. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.